Wu Park had already spent $4 million trying to cure his daughter's blindness. Doctors in Seoul. Specialists in New York. A miracle surgeon in Switzerland. None of them could help. Because Seo-Jean Park had been blind since the day she was born. She had never seen sunlight. Never seen the color of the sky. She had never even seen her father's face. And Wu Park, the most feared Korean Mafia boss in Chicago, had finally begun to accept the truth. His daughter would live her entire life in darkness. But one cold night, a homeless woman stepped in front of his car and said something that made the most dangerous man in the city stop breathing. "I can make your daughter see." Before we continue, where are you watching this story from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I read them all. The rain had started 10 minutes earlier. Thin at first. Then heavier. Wu Park stepped out of the private restaurant on Michigan Avenue with 2 bodyguards behind him. People on that street usually moved aside when they saw him. Not because they recognized his face, but because something about him made people instinctively step away. He was tall. Broad-shouldered. Always dressed in black. The kind of man who walked like the world already belonged to him. His driver opened the back door of the black sedan. Wu Park was about to step inside when someone grabbed his sleeve. Both bodyguards reacted instantly. One reached for his gun. The other grabbed the woman's wrist. She looked small. Too thin. Her coat was torn, her hair tangled by weeks of sleeping outside. But her eyes were calm. "Wait," she said. Wu Park raised a hand. His guards froze. He slowly turned toward the woman. Up close, he noticed something strange. She wasn't afraid. Most people trembled when they realized who they were standing in front of. This woman did not. "What do you want?" Wu Park asked quietly. Her voice was hoarse, like someone who hadn't spoken much in days. "My name is Josephine Carter." Rain dripped from her hair. "I know about your daughter." The bodyguard stiffened. Wu Park's eyes sharpened. Very few people spoke about Seo-Jean. Fewer still approached him in the street to mention her. "How?" he asked. Josephine didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied his face carefully. Like she was measuring something. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. "I can heal her blindness." The street went silent. Even the rain seemed to slow. One of the guards laughed under his breath. Wu Park didn't. His eyes stayed on Josephine. "Do you know how many doctors have said those same words?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes. And every single one of them failed." "I know." "Then why would you succeed?" Josephine lifted her chin slightly. "Because they don't understand what's actually wrong with her." That sentence landed differently. Wu Park felt something shift in his chest. A small, dangerous thing. Hope. He hated hope. Hope had made him weak before. Still. He asked, "What do you want in return?" Josephine didn't hesitate. "I need help." "What kind of help?" "A place to live." The bodyguard frowned. "That's it," he muttered. Josephine looked straight into Wu Park's eyes. "I lost everything 2 months ago. My job. My apartment. My medical license." That last sentence caught Wu Park's attention. "Medical license," he repeated. Josephine nodded slowly. "I used to be a surgeon." The bodyguards exchanged looks. Wu Park studied her more carefully now. Despite the dirt and exhaustion. Her posture. Her speech. The way she held eye contact. She didn't behave like someone who had always lived on the street. "What kind of surgeon?" he asked. Josephine's voice lowered. "Neuro-ophthalmology." For the first time, one of the guards stopped breathing. Wu Park didn't move. But inside his mind, 1,000 calculations began spinning. Neuro-ophthalmology. The exact specialty involved in nerve-related blindness. Why would a surgeon be homeless? Wu Park asked quietly. Josephine looked away for a moment. When she looked back, her expression had changed. Harder. Because powerful people sometimes ruin lives. The answer hung in the cold air. Wu Park knew that tone. It was the tone of someone who had been crushed by the system. Just like he once had. He opened the car door. "Get in." Both bodyguards turned. Boss. Get in, Wu Park repeated. Josephine didn't move. You're trusting me very quickly, she said. Wu Park looked back at her. No. I'm giving you a chance. And if you're lying. His voice became very quiet. You'll wish you hadn't stopped my car tonight. Josephine held his gaze. Then she stepped into the car. 20 minutes later, the sedan stopped in front of a massive glass tower overlooking the Chicago River. Josephine stared upward. You're home, she asked softly. Wu Park stepped out. No. It's my fortress. Inside, the elevator climbed 30 floors. Josephine's hands tightened slightly. Wu Park noticed. Nervous now, he asked. A little. You weren't nervous earlier. That was before I realized how dangerous you actually are. The elevator doors opened. The penthouse was silent. Warm lights glowed across polished marble floors. And sitting near the window was a little girl. 6 years old. Small. Delicate. Her dark hair fell softly over her shoulders. She was sitting cross-legged with a stuffed rabbit in her lap. Her eyes were open. But they didn't focus on anything. Seo Jean turned her head slightly. Appa, she said softly. Her voice was gentle. Pure. Is that you? Wu Park walked over slowly. Yes, Seo Jean. She smiled. Did you bring someone with you? Josephine felt her chest tighten. How did you know? Wu Park asked. Seo Jean tilted her head. I can hear her breathing. Josephine stepped forward carefully. Wu Park watched her closely. Josephine Carter, he said quietly. This is my daughter. Josephine knelt down slowly in front of the girl. For a moment she didn't speak. Then she gently lifted Seo Jean's chin. Examining her eyes. Her pupils. Her reaction to light. 30 seconds passed. Then Josephine whispered something southwest quietly, only Wu Park heard it. And the words made his heart slam against his ribs. She isn't supposed to be blind. Wu Park froze. What did you just say? Josephine looked up at him. Her expression had changed completely. No uncertainty. No doubt. Only absolute conviction. I said, she repeated slowly. Your daughter was never meant to be blind. Wu Park didn't speak for several seconds. The words Josephine had just said were still echoing in his head. Your daughter was never meant to be blind. For 6 years every doctor had told him the same thing. Born blind. Permanent damage. No cure. So how could this homeless woman walk into his home, look at Seo Jean for 30 seconds, and say something completely different? Wu Park's voice lowered. Explain. Josephine didn't stand up. She was still kneeling in front of Seo Jean, studying the girl's eyes carefully. Seo Jean, she said gently, can you see any light at all? The little girl thought for a moment. Sometimes, she said quietly. When the sun is strong. Wu Park frowned. No doctor ever mentioned that. Josephine slowly looked up at him. That's because they weren't asking the right questions. Seo Jean tilted her head slightly. Who are you? She asked. My name is Josephine. Are you a doctor? Josephine hesitated. Once. Seo Jean smiled softly. My dad says doctors always smell like soap. Josephine laughed under her breath. I probably smell like rain right now. Seo Jean giggled. The sound was southwest pure that Wu Park felt something tighten in his chest. Josephine gently held up 2 fingers in front of Seo Jean's eyes. Can you see anything here? Seo Jean squinted slightly. No. Josephine moved the fingers closer. Then closer. Still nothing. Finally Josephine leaned back slowly and stood. Wu Park was already watching her carefully. Well, he asked. Josephine crossed her arms, thinking. This isn't congenital blindness. Wu Park's jaw tightened. Speak clearly. Josephine nodded. Your daughter's eyes work. The room went silent. She can't see because something is blocking the signal between her eyes and her brain. Wu Park took 1 step closer. A nerve problem. Josephine shook her head. No. Then she said the sentence that froze him. It's surgical. Wu Park blinked. Surgical. Josephine nodded slowly. Yes. Co. Jean was listening quietly now. Josephine continued. Someone performed a procedure on her optic nerve when she was a baby. Wu Park felt the air leave his lungs. That's impossible. Josephine didn't raise her voice. No. What's impossible is that every doctor missed it. Wu Park's mind started racing. Co. Jean had been examined dozens of times. Hospitals. Specialists. Research centers. None of them had ever said anything about surgery. Why would someone do that? He asked. Josephine looked at him carefully. Who had access to your daughter when she was born? Wu Park didn't answer immediately. Instead, an old memory surfaced. A hospital room. A crying baby. And a woman standing near the window. Co. Jean's mother. She had left 3 months later. Gone without warning. Without explanation. Josephine watched his face closely. You're thinking of someone. Wu Park's voice turned cold. My wife. Josephine didn't react. Did she leave after the birth? Yes. Did she ever visit the hospital while your daughter was still there? Wu Park's hands slowly clenched. Yes. Josephine nodded slowly. Then I think I know what happened. Wu Park stepped closer. Say it. Josephine met his eyes. Someone intentionally damaged the optic nerve connection. Wu Park's voice dropped to a whisper. You're saying someone made my daughter blind? Josephine didn't answer right away. Instead she looked at Co. Jean. The girl was quietly hugging her stuffed rabbit. Listening. Josephine lowered her voice. Yes. Wu Park's chest rose slowly. Why? Josephine sighed. I don't know yet. But I do know something else. Wu Park waited. Josephine looked back at Co. Jean. The damage is reversible. For a moment Wu Park didn't move. Didn't breathe. Didn't think. Then he spoke. How? Josephine walked toward the kitchen counter and grabbed a piece of paper. She began sketching something quickly. The optic nerve isn't destroyed, she explained. It's misaligned. Wu Park stared at the drawing. A small procedure could reconnect the signal pathway. How small? 2 hours. Wu Park looked up slowly. 2 hours. Josephine nodded. Yes. And she could see. Wu Park's mind spun. 6 years of darkness. 6 years of doctors saying impossible. 2 hours. 2 hours could change everything. But then another thought hit him. Why are you telling me this? Josephine didn't answer immediately. Instead she leaned against the counter, suddenly looking very tired. Because I know what it's like to lose everything. Wu Park studied her. Tell me the truth. Josephine's eyes hardened slightly. I was the lead surgeon at Northwestern Medical. Wu Park raised an eyebrow. Were. Josephine laughed bitterly. Until 2 months ago. What happened? Josephine looked down at her hands. I reported a pharmaceutical company for falsifying surgical trial data. Wu Park understood immediately. They buried you. Yes. My license was suspended. My research was erased. My reputation destroyed. And suddenly no hospital would hire me. Co. Jean's voice interrupted softly. Josephine. Josephine turned back toward her. Yes. Are you going to help me see? Josephine walked back over slowly. She knelt again in front of the little girl. Yes. Co. Jean smiled. Really? Josephine nodded. Yes. But it will take a little time. Co. Jean hugged her rabbit tighter. I want to see my dad. Wu Park felt something crack inside his chest. Josephine stood and looked back at him. There's one problem. Wu Park's eyes sharpened. What? Josephine's voice became serious. I can't perform surgery anymore. Wu Park's expression darkened. Then how do you plan to fix her? Josephine met his gaze. I still know how. But I'll need a surgical room. Equipment. And protection. Wu Park folded his arms. Protection from who? Josephine hesitated. Then she said quietly. The same people who destroyed my career. Wu Park took a slow breath. I can handle powerful enemies. Josephine nodded. Yes. But these people aren't just powerful. She looked directly into his eyes. They're already watching me. Wu Park's expression changed. Watching you. Josephine nodded slowly. Yes. And if they find out I'm about to perform that surgery? She paused. Then finished the sentence. They'll do anything to stop it. Wu Park was about to respond, when one of his bodyguards suddenly rushed into the penthouse. Boss. Wu Park turned. What? The guard's voice was tense. There are 3 black SUVs outside. Wu Park's eyes narrowed. And? The guard swallowed. They're not ours. Josephine's face went pale. She whispered one word. They found me. At that exact moment, the penthouse lights went out. Total darkness swallowed the room. Seo Jin's voice trembled. Appa. And somewhere in the darkness, a window shattered. The glass shattered like a gunshot. Seo Jin screamed. Appa. Wu Park moved instantly. Even in total darkness, his instincts were faster than thought. He pulled Seo Jin into his arms and dropped low beside the couch. Stay down, he ordered. His bodyguards were already moving. One of them drew his weapon. Another rushed toward the broken window. Outside, rain poured harder now, wind pushing cold air into the penthouse. Josephine stood frozen for a second. Then her survival instincts kicked in. They're here for me, she said quietly. Wu Park's voice was calm but deadly. No. He glanced toward the window. They just made the mistake of coming into my house. Down below, engines roared. Doors slammed. Josephine moved closer to Wu Park. You don't understand, she whispered. These people are not just some corporation's security team. Wu Park didn't look worried. I've dealt with worse. Josephine shook her head. No, you haven't. Before he could respond, another bodyguard ran in from the hallway. Boss, they're coming up the elevator. Wu Park stood slowly. How many? 6, maybe 7. Wu Park nodded once. Good. Josephine stared at him. Good. Wu Park turned to his men. Lock the private elevator. It'll slow them. The guard nodded and disappeared. Wu Park then walked toward a hidden cabinet along the wall. He opened it. Inside was a row of firearms. Josephine blinked. You keep an armory in your living room. Wu Park picked up a pistol calmly. Only for special guests. He handed another weapon to one of his guards. Then he looked at Josephine. You stay with Seo Jin. Josephine's voice tightened. No. Wu Park paused. You don't give orders here. Josephine stepped forward. If you want your daughter to see again, you need me alive. Wu Park held her gaze for a moment. Then nodded slightly. Fair point. He turned back to the guards. Make sure she stays alive. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Heavy. Purposeful. Then. Bang. The elevator door exploded open. Gunfire erupted. Wu Park's men fired first. The penthouse filled with thunder. Josephine instinctively covered Seo Jin's ears. The girl trembled in her arms. It's okay, Josephine whispered. It's okay. Seo Jin's voice shook. Are they bad people? Josephine hesitated. Yes. Another gunshot cracked across the room. Then another. Then silence. Wu Park stood near the doorway, smoke curling from his pistol. One man lay unconscious on the floor. The rest had fled back toward the elevator. Wu Park lowered the weapon slowly. They won't be back tonight. Josephine looked stunned. That was fast. Wu Park shrugged. They underestimated me. He turned toward her. But now we have a bigger problem. Josephine already knew. They'll come back. Yes. And next time, they won't come with 6 men. Josephine looked at Seo Jin. The girl had fallen quiet again. Still holding her rabbit. Wu Park followed Josephine's gaze. How long until you can do the surgery? Josephine answered immediately. Tomorrow. Wu Park blinked. Tomorrow. Yes. Wu Park crossed his arms. That's fast. Josephine shook her head. No. It's necessary. Wu Park studied her. Explain. Josephine's voice lowered. If those people return with legal authority, they could stop everything. Wu Park's expression hardened. I don't care about legal authority. Josephine sighed. You should. They'll accuse you of kidnapping a surgeon and forcing illegal medical procedures. Wu Park said nothing. Josephine continued. They'll shut down every hospital that helps us. Freeze your assets. Take Seo Jin away for medical protection. That sentence landed hard. Wu Park's jaw tightened. No one takes my daughter. Josephine nodded. Then we operate before they can react. Wu Park thought for several seconds. Then he asked. What do you need? Josephine began listing items immediately. A surgical room. Microscope equipment. Nerve alignment tools. Sterile staff. Wu Park turned to one of his guards. Call Dr. Han. The guard nodded. Josephine raised an eyebrow. Dr. Han. An old friend. Trustworthy. Wu Park answered simply. He owes me his life. Josephine nodded slowly. That will work. Wu Park looked down at Seo Jin. The girl was half asleep now. Her small fingers still wrapped around the stuffed rabbit. He knelt beside her. Seo Jin. She stirred slightly. Yes, Appa. Wu Park's voice softened. Tomorrow, you might see something new. Seo Jin smiled sleepily. What? Wu Park hesitated. Then whispered. Everything. The next morning came faster than anyone expected. Inside a private surgical suite on the top floor of a small hospital, Josephine stood beside the operating table. Dr. Han adjusted the microscope. You're certain about this? He asked quietly. Josephine nodded. Yes. Wu Park stood outside the glass window, watching. For the first time in years. He felt nervous. Seo Jin lay peacefully under anesthesia. Josephine took a deep breath. Scalpel. Dr. Han handed it to her. 2 hours passed. Slow. Precise. Every movement careful. Finally. Josephine stepped back. It's done. Wu Park's heart began pounding. Will it work? Dr. Han asked. Josephine looked through the glass at Wu Park. Then she said quietly. We'll know when she wakes up. 30 minutes later. Seo Jin's eyes fluttered open. Wu Park sat beside her bed. His hands were clasped tightly. Seo Jin. The little girl blinked slowly. Her pupils adjusted to the light. Josephine stood behind Wu Park, holding her breath. Seo Jin squinted. Then. She gasped. Her small hands reached into the air. Appa. Wu Park froze. Seo Jin's eyes widened. I can see you. Tears rolled down Wu Park's face instantly. The girl stared at him in wonder.